Today I interview Nimmin, content creator, YouTube expert, and massively successful entrepreneur. He's gained almost 700,000 subscribers in the last 6 years that he's built his channel, but 250,000 of those in just the last 12 months. Today he's going to be sharing the real story and secrets to his fast growth on YouTube. All that and more coming up on the VI Show right now.
Want a copy of YouTube Secrets audiobook for free? Right now, when you sign up for a free 30-day trial of Audible, you can also get a complimentary copy of the #1 best-selling YouTube strategy book in the world. Download your copy today at tubesecretsaudio.com.
That's right, you guys. And I'm excited because today we've got the great Nimmin. So let's jump right into it. Nick, thank you so much for being on the show. You know, you've had some massive growth. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, 700,000 subscribers is right on the horizon for you, 6 years. But just in the last 12 months, you've had some mega growth. But there's a story behind the success. And a lot of people don't know that there's a lot of challenges, a lot of mistakes that were made, and a lot of hurdles they had to get over and lessons learned from those. So let's just first start off with, what was that like, that first, 5 months, because I know it took you about 5 months to get about 150 subscribers, and then to go from that to the success you're having today?
For me, the first 5 months, it wasn't necessarily like a big deal. Like I wasn't caught up in the whole subscriber thing or anything like that. So I didn't look at it like I was doing anything like wrong or incorrectly. In fact, I didn't even look at it at all, because in my brain, I didn't even understand really yet in terms of the potential of YouTube and, how things would go and the things that are important on YouTube, even the best practices and fundamental stuff. I knew some of it from watching, Daryl Eves and Tim Schmoyer and Gideon Showick and James Wedmore. I knew some of the stuff from the information that they shared, but I didn't know I didn't really know it, right? So because of that, the initial growth on my channel, it was just hey, it's time to make a video. So let's just make a video. Let's think about what it is. And then I'm going to, put that video together, and then we're just going to upload that and just see how people respond to it. And at that time, my only goal on YouTube, I had no subscriber goals. The only things that I had in terms of goals on YouTube was when I first published my videos, I wanted to get 100 views in the first hour. That was the first one.
Wow.
And then the other one was also to get email addresses, get people to sign up for an email. So for me, as long as I still had people going in and signing up for my email list, then I was doing the right thing. And as long as I could hit that 100 view point within that first hour, then my videos would typically continue to live on from that point in time. And at that point, that's all I knew, because that was, the experience that I actually had at that point in time. And during that time, I wasn't sharing YouTube, growth type stuff. I was doing how to come up with video ideas, how to stay productive in a coffee shop, how to stay productive in general, how to stay positive, that kind of stuff was the type of content that I was making. It wasn't until I came back to my YouTube channel from working on another channel, which we'll get into here in a minute, but it wasn't until I came back from that other channel that I had a clear idea and a nice crystal clear path ahead of me that I just needed to work in order to, make things, turn out the way that they did, so to speak. So to kind of back that up a little bit, because I jumped from, just getting started to coming back to the channel, hey, where'd you go? Right. So when I first started my channel, just like a lot of content creators, at that time, there wasn't information like Benji, you guys share information freely that would be in courses back in the day. Sure. I share information freely that would be in courses back in the day that would be behind paywalls that wouldn't be available for free. So nowadays, when somebody comes on YouTube, they can find your channel, they can find my channel, and or the other people that make content like us, and they can get a lot of really awesome information to where they can be on the right path right out of the gate. To where with me, when I came on, I knew that I had to use tags. I had some search engine history from some freelance work that I had done previously, so I knew how to rank blog posts and things like that on Google. So I took that information, was applying it to YouTube, and it was working fine. But anyway, I was going along on my channel, and then I had the opportunity to work with somebody else. Basically, another person that's in the space, I'll go ahead and just say it's Daryl Eves. he was crossing 100,000 subscribers at that time. And he made a video saying, hey, if my content has ever done anything for you, then, make a video about it and let me know. And if it's a good video, I will put you, you might end up in the video. So I'm like, hey, here's this guy that I watch on YouTube that I'm trying to learn about YouTube from. So I'm going to make this video and I'll send it over. So I made a video talking about, what his content meant to me and the things that I'd learned from him and just how cool it was. Because again, keep in mind, like I'm a new content creator at this point in time. And to me, just like there's probably people on this live stream right now that are like, hey, this is so cool that Nick and Benji are on the same stream and they're like talking together. I had that same thing. I literally say it in the video that it's so cool that I love how you brought like Gideon Shawick on, you brought David Walsh online onto your channel. And I say that in the video because I just thought it was like cool that these other content creators that I watched were, showing up in his videos. But anyway, I sent that video, and then really quick, he got back to me and he says, hey, I love your camera presence. I love the quality of what it is that you're putting out. I think that you have what it takes in terms of, the whole YouTuber thing. But I think that you would be better served on another type of channel. And I'd like to work with you in some capacity on another channel. And I'm like, hey, yeah, let's do it. So I took that opportunity, and over a period of time, we, planned that channel out and we planned the content out. And he taught me a lot of the, fundamental stuff that, that I share on my YouTube channel now. A lot of the fundamental stuff about, branding and about, connecting with your audience and knowing who it is that you're making content for and, things like that. And I started working on that channel. It started doing great. And, I was getting, a lot of comments. Every single video that I uploaded was getting views to it. I even had cool things happen. And again, I'm still a new content creator at this point in time. So I'm impressed by every opportunity that happened too. So I had curiosity.com. They actually reached out and they're like, hey, we love your videos. We want to, post some of those in our website or whatever. And I started creating that relationship with them where they would post some videos every now and then. And just overall, the channel was doing great, getting a great response. The community was great. Everything was going awesome. However, like a lot of people watching this live stream, I was doing my design service at the time. Yeah. And I was also doing this new channel at the time. And Daryl told me, he's like, Nick, listen, YouTube is a long game. This is going to be a long process. And because of that, it's really important that you pace yourself. So only publish as much as you think you can publish. I'm not going to tell you you have to publish this many videos, but just publish what you think that you can keep up with for a long period of time, because you need to be able to maintain that cadence so that you can be sustainable over time. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, yeah, sounds great. I'm all in. So I started doing 2 to 3 videos per week on that channel. And the type of content that it is, the channel's called All Our Questions. It's still on YouTube if anybody wants to look at it. But basically with that content, it's all educational content based on science and things like that. So what I would have to do is I would have to go and research the information, find a bunch of different sources for all the different information, compile it all, understand it enough to where I could basically simplify it into a video format that would be entertaining and educational for people to watch, so that I could, publish a video about it. And because of that, it took me a really long time. And keep in mind, I'm a new content creator at the time, so I didn't have a real workflow together yet. I didn't have, any systems together on how to, do all this stuff. So it would take me a really, really long time to make those videos. And I was doing 2 to 3 videos a week.
What was the name of that channel, Nick? What was the name of that
All
channel?
Our Questions.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
And I was doing 2 to 3 videos per week on that channel and also doing the design service as well. And I just couldn't handle the workload. Yeah. Because the funny thing is what would happen is I would need to do design work, but I was so in love with YouTube and the process of creating content that when I needed to do the design work, I was like, well, I could do that or I could work on this YouTube channel. And I would default in a lot of cases to work on the YouTube channel, which ended up causing me even more stress over on the work side, because then I started slacking over here a little bit because I just got obsessed with YouTube. So I would do the bare minimum of what needed to be done over here so I could spend more time on YouTube. And then eventually I just couldn't sustain the workload all the way around because I went in too much, so to speak. Yeah. And I ended up completely burning out. Yeah. Now with that came a big, heavy lesson for me. And that lesson was, 1, this YouTube thing is awesome. Absolutely awesome. 2 is we got to find a way to make this work, because if we can find a way to make this work, then I can leave the design service and I can just fully focus on doing this YouTube thing because it's absolutely awesome. I love it. So what I did is I ended up stopping I didn't stop the channel, but I stopped uploading to the All Our Questions channel. And I came back to my current channel because it was just easier content to make, right? The stuff that I was doing on on the channel that most of you know me from, on that channel, the content, it's easy stuff. I don't have to like go and like research a bunch of things and all that in order to, tell you 3 things that you can do better to make better videos, right? Like I can just look at a video and be like, this creator needs to do these 3 things, and then I can make a video about it, right?
Yeah, totally.
So it's just easy and fast content to make. So I'm like, okay, so I'm going to come back to this channel and I'm going to start making content, but for this channel. But before I do that, before I publish another video here, I need to figure out a very detailed plan of how I'm going to monetize this as fast as humanly possible so that I can go all in on YouTube. Yeah. So that's when I built my website, Tuber Tools, and I started offering design services off of that for content creators. And real quickly, because of the services that I offered there, it allowed me to be able to dedicate all of my time to my YouTube channel and to doing the services around that and not doing the other design service. Unfortunately, that put me in another situation to where the same exact thing happened. It just happened in a different space, to where it was like YouTube or serve, the clients that are coming in from Tuber Tools. And, I had to do the clients for Tuber Tools. So I was like, okay, we got to think of another plan. So then I built like a membership site, and then that got me quickly out around Tuber Tools. And that got me quickly out of the service side of things so I could fully go all in on YouTube.
And how long was that? Like, would you say how long was that journey? Because one of the lessons here that I'm hearing is burnout happens when you've got too many plates spinning, and focus is so important. How long did it take you to get up to this point? And the reason I ask this question is because people are on here because they want to know, like, how did you grow so much? How did you get 250,000 subscribers in the last 12 months? Not understanding that there was this long period of time that you had to hustle and you weren't growing quickly. How long was that period of time between that point and when you burned out and you focused on that one channel?
So basically I was on my channel for about 5 months. The current channel, I was on that for about 5 months, and I went and worked on the other one for about 9 months. Wow. And maybe a little bit longer than 9 months. And then I came back to my current channel. And then once I came back to my current channel with a plan and taking the information that I had learned, from working on the other channel with Daryl, and then applying, some of those concepts to what it is that I was doing on my channel, I was able to go full time, all in on YouTube. YouTube plus the design within 3 months, and then all in on YouTube, because of the membership side. I would say probably took me 6 or 7 months from when I came back and started on my current channel now. So
that's easy, a couple years.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And the whole thing with that, and one of the things that I'm always telling content creators is, you have to settle in for the long haul, because just like anything else, like if you're playing a sport, it's going to take you a while to get good at it. If you're, playing an instrument, it's going to take you a while to get good at it. And YouTube is no different. There's a lot of skill sets that you have to learn. For example, like you have somebody, switching the camera for you, right? Just that person that's switching the camera for you, they had to go through the process of like learning the software, learning the different equipment that you have, learning the right times to cut and things like that. And that's just one skill set. Right. And then you also have to learn how to make videos, and you have to learn how to edit the stuff. You have to learn how to write good titles good titles, and you have to learn how to make thumbnails, all that. There's just so much to learn that you can't expect to just come into the platform and blow up. You have to just dedicate to the long haul and say, if this is something that you're wanting to do seriously, you have to say, this is something that I'm going to make happen. I'm going to figure this out. Yeah. And for me personally, the big change for me, and by saying that, it actually reminded me of something. But the big change for me when it came to YouTube was I was just kind of messing around with YouTube. I wasn't really taking it seriously until Daryl reached out. Yeah. When Daryl reached out and he told me that, hey, I think that you have, what it takes on YouTube, and, your camera quality is good, your audio quality is good, your presentation's great. And for me, that was like a game-changing moment for me, because in my brain, and he still is, Daryl was that guy that is like, hey, this guy, he's like a big YouTuber. He works with all these, like big, prominent, content creators. Like he knows his stuff, and he still does, right? He's still that dude. But in terms of, hearing that from somebody that, had 150 subscribers on the time, just came on the platform, didn't know much about the platform at all. And then I come on and I have this person saying like, hey, like I think that you probably have a really good shot at this. and telling me that like, hey, you know, you're good on camera and like your quality is good and all this good stuff. Like for me, that was like oh wow, this is like you know, maybe I should take this seriously. Maybe I should, you know, like dig in a little bit deeper, so to speak. And that's part of, you know, that opportunity and heading in that direction with him was that it was like, yeah, okay, I'll do whatever, you know, I'll do whatever. And I did for 9 months until I burned out. Right.
Yeah. And but that's one of the things that I love about your story is that you knew what you were doing, right? But you just weren't taking it seriously. And I think so many creators can relate to that because whether you have a job or you have a family or maybe you're working on some other side projects, people, one of the number one mistakes, they don't take their YouTube channel seriously. And if they went not just all in necessarily, but they just took it like it was a second job and put in, you know, like 8 to 10 hours a week, that could go to 40 hours. They could quit their last job if that's what they want and build a full-time business. If you guys are just chiming in right now, welcome to Video Influencers. We're interviewing Nick Nimmin, and he's sharing his story about how he's grown massively, and especially in the last 12 months. But before we move on, Nick, sorry to interrupt. We're doing something very special for you guys during this interview. We're doing a massive giveaway. And if you guys are new and you're listening to this because you want to grow your subscribers, guess what? We got a signed copy of YouTube Secrets signed by Sean and myself. And this is one of the things you can win. Secondly, we're going to give away this Switch Pod. This, you know what? Maybe we'll see if it, but we're going to give you the whole Switch Pod bundle that's got the swivel head. Actually, he's got it right there. Nick's got it right there. And last but not least, I'm giving away the Sony ZV-1. This is a big deal. We've never done a camera giveaway like this on the VI show, and it's very easy to enter the giveaway. All you have to do is, number one, in the comments below, let us know why you started your YouTube channel and what keeps you motivated to upload, whether it's your family, whether it's a subscriber goal, whether it's something you want to pursue in life, or even, you know, a certain amount of money you want to make. And then the second way you can enter the win, share this on Twitter. Use the share function down below. Use hashtag VI show. Make sure you tag both Nick and Video Influencers and answer that same question. So sorry to interrupt, but let's go ahead and move on to the next part of the story. Obviously, you can finish up what you're saying, but that's one of the things that a lot of people, like, if they just did that one thing, everything would change, right? And I guess it's broken down to 2 points. One, taking YouTube seriously, right? I mean, from the beginning, I took it very seriously when I saw my wife had this huge passion for it because I knew this could be a full-time thing. And secondly, focus. It's so easy to get burnt out. Are there any other takeaways? I
think belief is another thing too, because I think one of the big barriers that people have, and this is one of the things that helped me also, is I think that one of the barriers that a lot of people have is they just don't see it as a reality. Like, you know, like, oh, how could I, you know, like, there's no way that I could possibly, you know, do YouTube, something that I love making. I love making videos, love interacting with the community, but there's no way that I could actually do that as like a thing. And having that mind state, and you know, I've been there, so I know, but like having that mind state in terms of like, you know, like it might happen, so we'll just kind of see how it goes, is going to lead you into a completely different place than, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure out how to make it work. And this is the plan that I'm going to put in place in order to make everything, you know, work out for me in the long run. That's two different avenues, and it's two different approaches that will lead to dramatic, you know, completely different results. So of course, like on the one hand, you know, you could get, you know, ad revenue and things like that. Things could go great for you there. But when you take the approach and you're proactive about it and you're like, okay, well, if I'm going to go full time, I need to figure out all the different ways I'm going to monetize. I need to start implementing this stuff now so I don't have to all of a sudden start trying to monetize so my income can grow as my channel grows and that sort of thing. But if you have that defined plan, then you have a chance, and it can be a reality. Like, I know that there's people watching this right now that are thinking like, you know what, I would love to make content on YouTube full-time, or at least as like a part-time thing or whatever. But in your brain, you have this thing holding you back. That's like, yeah, but then that means that, you know, I'd have to commit to this. And then what if I put in all this effort and that it didn't work out? And then, you know, people that, you know, I was making this content for, that I was telling everybody, hey, I'm going to, you know, take my YouTube channel seriously. Maybe they would give me a hard time if it doesn't work out. You have all these things in your brain that are just, you know, beating against your brain, trying to make it not possible. But I encourage you just from my personal experience, from people that I've worked with, from friends that I have in the space as well, to like, if it's something that you want to do, I encourage you to just look at it as a serious thing and say, you know what, I can do this. And what I am going to do now is I'm going to put a plan in place in terms of how I'm going to monetize, and I'm going to start paying really close attention to what's happening on my YouTube channel with my videos. And I'm going to figure out exactly who it is that I'm making my content for, so I can make sure that I'm just constantly delivering over and over and over again for those people. Because if you can do that, then all of this stuff can become a reality. And I can tell you, and I know it's done the same for Benji as well. Like, this whole YouTube thing has just been a life-changing experience for me in a bunch of different aspects. And I've seen the same exact thing happen with a lot of other content creators as well. And there's no reason that it can't happen with you if it's something that you actually want. So I just wanted to say that really quick.
For sure. The belief is a big part, because a lot of people don't believe in themselves, right? And I'd say the other thing that you mentioned that I think people take seriously, but they don't understand how important it is. You got to make money doing this. You got to be able to provide for yourself and pay the bills to make that transition from whatever you're doing full time or other business that maybe you're not interested in into doing YouTube. And that's why, our model here is build your influence and income and impact, right? Like, you got to make money. Don't make it a taboo thing, but do it in a smart way. Don't be premature about it. I just love all that. By the way, I just want to announce the first winner of the giveaway. Right. Aaron Shu. And Aaron Shu says, I was born with a disability. I started my channel to raise awareness and demystify disability through open dialogue. What keeps me going is that there's someone will feel less alone and marginalized. So, Aaron, you're going to be the first winner. We're going to send you a signed copy of YouTube Secrets. So congratulations. And remember, to win this, you've got to be present. So hopefully you are still around. We're picking these and we're announcing you guys really quickly. And remember, you still have a chance to win both this Switch Pod as well as this Sony ZV-1, which is a pretty dope camera. I'm telling you, like, if you're a beginner or even seasoned vlogger, dope. And we're going to get the whole bundle. So stay tuned for that at the end. And if you don't know how to enter for that, all you have to do is let us know in the comments why you started your channel and what keeps you motivated. It's that simple. Second chance to win on Twitter. Use a share function down below and use hashtag VI show, tag Nick Nimmin and video influencers. So, sorry. And there was another thing you were going to mention.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember what that one thing is.
Yeah, no, but the last thing you're kind of getting into.
Yeah, I remember. So the reality side of things in terms of believing it. So a few minutes ago when I mentioned that about Daryl reaching out, like, for me, that was where, like, that kind of happened in my brain, to where I was like, wow, this person, thinks this. And then once we started the YouTube channel and people started responding well to it, then it really intensified those feelings for me. And what happened on the belief side of things and on the side of, believing that it could be a reality, is that I went from, like, I'm trying to do YouTube and I'm trying to be a YouTuber to I am a YouTuber and I am a successful YouTuber, and therefore I need to do the things that successful YouTubers do, which is commit to uploading content on a regular basis, trying to always improve, really deep diving into your stats on a regular basis so you can make sure that you're making the right content decisions, networking with other, people in the space, all of those things for the sake of, making sure that it happens. So instead of it being like I'm somebody trying to do a YouTube channel, in my brain, I became a successful YouTuber when I had, like, I don't know, probably 60,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, or less. Probably less, actually. I probably like 30,000. In my brain, I was a successful YouTuber. Because I had to get that experience on the other channel first. But then once I came back to my current channel, I was like, this is my path.
So one of the things that I know that was a game changer for you is something that changed in your format, correct? Of creating content. Because, one of the
Yes.
things that we do is we try to mimic what other people are doing. So we literally, like type out exactly what we're going to say. And we almost kind of look robotic because we're just trying to copy someone else versus kind of being ourselves. And there's this one thing that happened to you that really changed everything for you to be more natural. What was that one lesson that you learned?
For me, it was from going from scripting my content out to running off of bullet points.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because the method that I used when I would script is I would literally write down everything. I would insert jokes. I would write out everything, pause here, like that kind of stuff. But basically I wrote out the entire scripts. And then as I was communicating, and a lot of you might resonate with this, but as I was communicating in my videos and I was, reading from the scripts, the method I used was like a read and recite, to where I would, read the line, look at the camera, and then say whatever it is, and then read another line, look at the camera, and say whatever it is, however many times I needed to say it without screwing it up. And the problem is when I was communicating, and I'm not saying everybody's this way, but when I was communicating, instead of communicating like I communicate, I'm thinking of, am I saying the things in the right order? Am I saying the things that I just read? Am I saying, this how it needs to be said, instead of just communicating the way that I communicate? And for me, it was a big difference, such a big difference, in fact, that that our friend Brian G. Johnson, he actually sent me a message on Facebook when I published one of the other videos. So basically, I was writing scripts for all of that time. Yeah. And then I made 3 videos actually off script, to where I just used bullet points for practice. They never got published, but I did them for practice just so I could, kind of start working that muscle. And then I published the first one, and people immediately responded to that video better in terms of audience retention. Brian G. Johnson reached out and he was like, dude, whatever you just did in that last video, you nailed it. So just keep doing that. But I could even feel it. Like when I made the content, I felt great when I was making the content. I had more energy when I was making the content. And, and it kind of, it was my first venture into, letting myself just be myself, instead of like when I first started the channel. Let me back up a little bit. So basically, when I first started the channel, my very first video was about overcoming camera shyness, because I was afraid, terrified to be on camera. So I wore makeup and all this stuff. I wore, I like dressed up for it and all this stuff. And then as the process continued on, like it's interesting how like part of the growth process on YouTube for me was also part of letting go of all of that that perception of what I think that I wanted people to think about me, like letting go of that and embracing the unique side of YouTube, which is what people will actually relate to and resonate with, but in embracing the relatable part of YouTube, which is like, let me just do me. And some people are going to dig it, some people are not, but I'm just going to do me, and then we'll see how that works out, right? So it's just interesting how, when I first started the channel, I was like terrified. And then, I was doing all these things to try to be like other people because I thought that's how, I should be. But then as I started letting all that stuff go over time, as I started getting more and more comfortable, things started getting better and better and better over time as I got more, confident, and as I just got more comfortable being on camera, and most importantly, more comfortable just being myself. Now, I don't care, right? Like I'll show a close up of my face with like a blemish if I have it. Like I don't care, right? But at the time, it's just a process of overcoming a lot of those things, because, just as people, we have this in our brains of, what we think that, how we think maybe the world views us, or how we want the world to view us. But when you can just kind of let all that stuff go and say, you know what, instead of thinking I'm going to cater myself to how I want the world to view me, I'm just going to be me. And then I'm going to connect with the people that are into that, instead of connecting with this thing that I'm trying to create that's not really a real true version of myself, if that makes any sense. Does that make any sense?
Oh, absolutely. One of the things is, of course, people are here because they want to learn how to get a lot of subscribers fast. And this is why this whole story is so important, is because all these elements stack on each other, right? And by the way, we're going to get to the last year and how Nick was able to get so many subscribers, literally 250,000 in the last 12 months. But I completely agree. And, I do the same thing too. In fact, when I don't sound natural, it's because either I didn't prepare or I'm scripted. When I sound the most natural and confident, right? That's another thing too. Like when you sound natural, you sound much more confident. It's because those bullet points are based off of, a thought that I'm comfortable with or a script, but it's just a reference, right? It's just like you don't have to be taught to talk to your best friend. You already know how to talk to them, right? Like they just ask you a question. So that's what a bullet point list is like. It's like your best friend just like kind of reminding you like, oh yeah, weren't you going to tell me about this or whatever? And so I completely agree. And that's going to change how you come out on camera and how people connect with you. So they ultimately subscribe. Is that kind of what you're saying? Would you say?
Without question. And I think that that's a big win with the live streams as well, is because, live streams, because you experience the same thing on the live streams, they're unscripted, they're raw. And I think that one of the really powerful things about live streaming, like if you lean on deep branding concepts, like one of the really cool things about live streaming is that it's not possible. I mean, technically we could have a teleprompter running and you could technically script it out. Yeah. But in, the way that we do it, it's just all freestyle. And because of that, there's so much nuance that comes out in terms of personality that it just creates such an authentic experience for everybody involved, viewers, watching, or, the content creator actually, putting the content out there. And I think that side of things is another one of those things to where if you can just let that guard down and say, instead of being like, okay, well, I'm doing a live stream, so I need to be, this, that, and the other thing, and make sure I put on my best shirt, all of that, which is fine. If that's your thing, that's fine. But I'm just saying, instead of putting on something that isn't you so that people will dig it, just saying, you know what, I'm just going to go live and I'm going to express myself the way that I express myself. And I'm just going to let people get to know me as I'm sharing whatever content it is that I happen to be sharing through my live streams is a huge win. And I think that is another thing that has been extremely advantageous for me for my YouTube channel. So when people look at my live streams, I've actually had people say, Nick, your channel wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for the watch time you're collecting from your live streams. And I disagree. The reason I disagree is because I've had periods of time to where I haven't live streamed and everything, keeps on rolling just fine. Yeah. But in addition to that, I don't think it's the watch time. I think it's the people, right? I think it's the people that come into the live streams that, that interact with each other. It's not just, watching me. It's that they interact with each other. They're learning something. They, there's always great takeaways from the live streams, but they're interacting with each other. So there's their own community. But then the people that do watch the video content on a regular basis or the live streams, they also just get the raw, unedited version of every personality flaw that I could possibly have. Like they see it. And I think that is a thing that kind of breaks down a lot of barriers because, you can't live stream for 3 hours straight and not mess up in some way or not have some type of personality flaw slip out. Right.
Yeah, totally.
So because of that, it just gives people like the raw version. And that's what we get when we meet people in real life, right? You have that initial moment, which I would look at as kind of like the video content. You have that initial moment to where it's like, hey, we're getting to know each other, whatever. But then you kind of cross this line to where it's like, you know what, we've been hanging out a while, we're comfortable around each other, so let's talk about some deeper stuff, or let's kind of, stop putting on a show and just be who we are, and and just be like that with each other, right? And I think that with the live streams, I think that that's the valuable part of the live streams. I think it's more about that than it is about the watch time that's been generated from the stream.
For sure. One takeaway I got out of what you just shared is the community that is building even without you trying to do it, right? So the community of the viewers speaking to other viewers and creating their own relationship, friendships. I just realized like that's happening on our community too. But this is one of the things, the Nimmin Nation is pretty strong and they love you. And because of what you give to them, the value, the takeaways, the tips, but also because there is a true community there. Like you said, with or without you, right? They're vibing. And I know that they're very supportive of you and they want to protect that comment area. And speaking of community, we're going to talk about our next winner, which will be for the Switch Pod. And so let's go ahead and pull up the next winner. It is Nourishing Noble ASMR. And they say, I started a YouTube channel to help millions of people around the world through video and create a full-time business for myself. And they just shared our video. So thank you so much, Nourishing Noble ASMR. You're the winner of this Switch Pod. Okay, we'll be sending it to you. The team will reach out. If not, I'll make sure you DM video influencers. If you're wondering what the heck just happened, we're doing a massive giveaway. We already give away a signed copy of the book. We've given away this Switch Pod from our friend Pat Flynn. We're going to do the whole bundle. Last but not least, we're still going to give away the Sony ZV-1. So you have to be on this. That's right. It's exciting stuff. You have to be on this live. You have to watch for your name to be announced, and my team is going to confirm it. So that's a dope vlogging camera. You definitely want to win that, especially if you're getting started. It's like an all-in-one basically. And so we're going to be announcing a little bit later. But I want to move on because we've talked about how you got your start and you got burnt out. You met Daryl Eves, and he really put the belief into you to show you not only the things that's needed to be successful, but also just so you have confidence in yourself. You also talk about focusing on your channel, really leaving, other things behind and going all in on YouTube or your one YouTube channel. And then you talked about going from scripts to bullet points that help you look more natural on camera and connect with people. I know you've kind of mentioned the whole live thing, but also going to events. One thing is, Nick, you live in Thailand, correct?
Yes.
Thailand. I live here in Seattle, Washington. Obviously, right now in the world, we're all connecting digitally, but there's something that happens when you connect with people in person. So tell us about that, because you took us from about and correct me if I'm wrong, 2013, 2014 when you got started, and then when you got a little bit more comfortable, that's probably 2015, 16. When was it when this next milestone happened, and how did it change your channel to help you grow?
So the next thing on the list would be Vid Summit. So basically, it was 2017, I believe, was the first Vid Summit that I went to. 2016, 2017, can't remember. But that particular Vid Summit was a big deal for me too, because a bunch of different reasons. But one of them was, remember how I was talking about belief just a little bit ago. So I already had in my brain, right? Because I had like 70,000 subscribers at the time, and in my brain, like I could see, kind of the writing on the wall. But one thing that happens is when you get into a room with a bunch of other people that are also doing like cool things, then you get to hear conversations, you get to hear about experiences, and you get to just meet some really cool people. But some of that stuff can also give you insights as well. So for example, when I went to Vid Summit, that was my first time, because my brother wasn't doing YouTube at the time. I was in like my own world over in Thailand, just kind of doing my own thing. And then when I went to Vid Summit, that was the first time being around a bunch of other content creators that were doing stuff. And because of that, just hanging out, being a part of the conversation, just in the hallways and just talking to people was incredible, because, you got to hear about all these different opportunities people were having. You got to hear different things that people were trying on their YouTube channel. And you started hearing people talk about, things that I didn't normally have conversations about, like the viewer experience and, like that kind of stuff. So just like networking all the way around has been extremely advantageous. But for me, the very first point that was just kind of like a mind explosion to me, like I was literally like emotionally high during that first Vid Summit, because I was just so overwhelmed by just how awesome everybody was, but also just all of the great information that I was picking up at the time. I was literally emotionally high off of like day one of Vid Summit, with the first one I went to. But that very first one, I actually, the night before, I got to hang out with Andrew Edwards, and just in the conversation with him, that was he was the first person that I actually met up with that I had talked to online. And it was before the event started. It was the night before. But basically, like, one of the things that he kept talking about, and he still talks about, is the idea of not looking at yourself as just a YouTuber, right? Like, you're a content creator. You're making content for the internet. You're not just a YouTuber. And I thought that was a really interesting thing as well, because in addition to not looking at yourself as just a YouTuber, if you're doing this professionally, then you should also look at yourself as like an online business person as well, right? So that conversation that I had with him also helped me. I mean, I identify as a YouTuber. I mean, let's just call it what it is, right? But I identify as a YouTuber, but I also understand that perspective, and I embrace that perspective of like, okay, well, I'm a YouTuber, but I'm also a content creator because I upload into other places and I put images on Instagram, all that good stuff. So I upload it into these other places, but I'm also like a digital business person as well, because I'm using all of this stuff for like marketing purposes and things like that also. So, it just created well, it didn't create, but it kind of shifted my perspective on, the identity side of, being somebody that is not just uploading videos to the internet, but somebody that is, like a professional, a professional when it comes to this stuff, because there's a big difference in people that just upload videos about stuff that they're passionate about and people that are professional, about, being a content creator for YouTube or for the internet in general. And Andrew was my first, dip into that particular conversation of, kind of shaking that identity and looking at yourself as this person that's not just a YouTuber, but you're somebody that is of influence on the internet, and that you're also, a business person behind the scenes, and you have to handle yourself in that way.
Yeah, I'm loving this. Somebody just commented that your story is something they've never heard and they're fascinated by it. And that's exactly why I wanted you, Nick, to be on the VI show and talk about your story, because of course we're going to get to the last 12 months, right? What are some of the big tips that you have for people that you apply to your channel to help you grow massively? But it's these 6 years before that, right? It's all these moments and these experiences.
What's funny is if you look at my stats on my YouTube channel, like it's like a good solid like 2 years and some change before you even start to see like any kind of lift off at all.
Yeah.
So like, like people will come into the live streams and they'll, leave comments and videos and stuff like that. And they'll be like, hey, I've been on YouTube for like a month and I've only got, like 500 subscribers. What am I doing wrong? And I'm like, you're rocking, you're killing it. What are you talking about? You're doing fantastic. With 500 subscribers after you've been on YouTube for a month, or 100 subscribers, be happy, be happy with that particular thing. But another thing though, when it comes to, just the experiences, I also want to let people know that, like it sounds one way in terms of like, oh yeah, you just grind it out and, you put out videos and, that whole thing. And you have, these different, milestones along the way. But in detail, that means that, I had, like I have somebody that works with Vigard, incredible video editor. He edits almost all of my videos now, and he does an amazing job. But before him, I worked with like a bunch of different video editors as well. And nobody, they're somewhere okay, but they just didn't nail it like Vigard does. But the things that people don't see is they don't see that first 2 years of just grinding it out. Right. It was all of a sudden, hey, Nick just blew up from nowhere type of thing, thinking that I just started the channel, but I had been grinding it out for 2 years. And I just want you to know that, there's work, right? There's work like this stuff is fun, but there's also a lot of work that goes into it behind the scenes. Like there's been plenty of nights when I didn't have an editor. And even now, there's still nights now that I work late. Like right now, it's like 1 a.m, right? So there's been plenty of nights, probably more than I can count off the top of my head, to where, I would stay up until like way later than I should have, just making sure that I got a video done so that I could make sure to hit my, get my content out there, on a specific schedule, because again, I was dedicated to it. So like the takeaway from that I want you to know is that, sometimes, there are going to be sacrifices if this is something that you're wanting to do seriously. Sometimes there's going to be sacrifices involved. You're gonna have to stay up later. You're gonna have to take that Friday or Saturday night instead of going out and doing something else. You need to get that video done. You need to get that video up. I'm not saying to let it impede on your entire life, but just like anything that you want that is awesome, there's typically, some type of exchange for that awesome thing. And in the case of this stuff, it comes down to work and time. So, because of that, I just want you to know that either be prepared to hire out quickly, or just be dedicated to just making it happen, because, people do get lucky on YouTube, but most people don't. So because of that, like if you want it, you're going to have to go after it. But the next thing that I want to talk about, Benji, if it's okay, is
Sure, go ahead.
On the growth side of things, is the importance of understanding who it is that you're making your content for. This is something that they talk about on video influencers. This is something that, we talk about on my live streams all the time and in videos. And it's so important. And the reason that it's so important is because when I came back to my YouTube channel from working on the other channel and taking some of the information that I had learned there, and I mapped my plan out. I actually still have it. It's in a file in there. But basically, like, I literally drew out like a map. Okay, this is where I'm at now. This is, you know, my YouTube channel's in the middle of it. But then these are all the different things that I need, all the things I need to create in order to, you know, get things the way that I want them. And I still have one thing left on the list, and I have to draw a new map. But the takeaway though is that when I came back to the channel, the first thing that I had to do is decide, like, okay, if I'm going to monetize this, then I need to make something, which was my store at that point in time. But then in order to be able to bring attention to that store and what I was offering from the store, I had to make content for the right people that I was going to get the videos in front of, which is, you know, at the time, it was just people making videos, but it's gotten more specific over time, you know, for YouTube content creators. But the idea is, it's extremely important to know your audience, because if you know who it is that you're making your videos for, you can cater everything towards those people. You know what it is that they think about. Like, I know I'm a content creator, so this is easy for me, because I know, like, if you're watching this right now and you're a YouTuber and you're like, man, I really want my channel to grow. Like, I know what's going through your head when you're laying in bed at night, because I've been there, right? Like when you have a video that you publish and it just flops and you're like, oh my God, I thought that would be so good. I put in so much work. I know what that feels like. Right. So because of that, because I know all of those things that you're going through as a content creator, like with you being who it is that I'm trying to reach, that helps me cater everything it is that I'm doing. So when I write titles, and this applies regardless of the type of content that you make, but when I write titles, I know how to get you to click, because I know the things that you need help with. I know the things that you struggle with. I know what you think. So because of that, it helps me be able to fine tune everything it is that I'm doing to help resonate with you, so that you'll click on the videos. And then of course you'll get the value that, you know, that I bring with the content that I put out. But, you know, in order to bring you in to even see that value in the first place, I have to be able to get you to click. And the only reason that I can do that is because I deeply understand who you are as a content creator and the struggles that you go through, just in general, because I've been through the same thing. Benji's been through the same exact thing. Anybody who makes content, who's had any type of success, we've all laid in bed at night and thought to ourselves, I can't believe that video just got X amount of views on it after I put in so much time putting that thing together. I know everybody's had that thought, you know, laying in bed. So like the thing I'm trying to get at here is, it's so important to think about the people that you're trying to reach, the things they care about, the things they don't care about, the things that they're opposed to as much as the things that they like. Where are they hanging out on the internet is super important to think about. Where would they avoid on the internet, right? So you don't waste your time there. You know, where would they be the most active? What types of magazines would they be likely to read? You know, like for example, like, you know, Video Maker magazine, you know, as a content creator, if you happen to see that in a grocery store somewhere, you know, if you're into like, you know, making videos, there's a really good chance if they have a good headline in there, you're probably going to pick that up. You know, but basically, like, knowing all of that stuff about your audience really makes a big difference. And it even comes down to the nuances of your communication. So for example, on my channel, same with video influencers, the primary demographic that we're reaching is new content creators. Basically, we're grabbing all of you new content creators as you're coming into the platform, and we're ushering you in saying, hey, here's all the stuff you got to do, and then go do it, right? And the thing is with that is, because we know that it's primarily like, you know, we have large channels watch us too, but it's mostly made up of people that are just coming in. So because of that, we make sure that we kind of limit the industry lingo that we use. I've even limited my use of algorithm now. I've changed it to YouTube systems instead of YouTube algorithm, because YouTube systems or YouTube's computers is just easier to understand for somebody that might not know the lingo for YouTube, because they're just coming onto the platform. Yeah, so basically taking all of those things into account for the people that you're trying to reach can really make a big difference for your YouTube channel, because you're resonating with the people that you're actually trying to reach if you understand them and understand how to connect with them in visual, written, and video form.
And that was
audio, I guess.
Oh, are we? Did it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we just got disconnected for a hot second. So,
okay.
What I want to say is, all this was learned over the course of 5 years. And this is what's ironic. You and I are both kind of guilty for it, but of course we have good intentions. You can't learn it in a 5-minute video. And of course, we're putting out content because we know people are searching for things and we want to answer your question. And even if you watched 100 5-minute videos, it's taking all that you're learning, applying it and executing on content and uploading, and then looking back on that experience. And even then, it's not enough. One of the big takeaways for me is what you just said. One of the game changer moments in the last 5 to 6 years of you being on this platform is when you finally understood who it is that you were talking to. And I know it sounds kind of creepy, but you even had to know what they were thinking. And that's only done by connecting with people you understand, that you can relate to. And that's why this interview is so amazing to me, because to be fair, I don't think you've even shared this story on your channel, but you need to hear this full story to understand the last 12 months. And so, Nick, I definitely want you to get into the last 12 months and talk about how you grew so massively. But before we do that, one more announcement before we actually say who the winner is. We've already given away a signed copy of YouTube Secrets. Congratulations to that person. We've already given one of these Switch pods with the full bundle. So you get the head that rotates, but now we're gonna finish off with this Sony ZV-1, one of the best vlogging cameras literally ever made, and it's a great all-in-one. It's great for a beginner, but even a seasoned vlog like myself. I was using this for a while. I just prefer another camera for myself, which is actually an old one, right? This is way more new, got way more bells and whistles. The way you enter to win is let us know in the comments, what is your dream? Why did you get onto YouTube, and what keeps you motivated to continue to upload even in the midst of challenges? One of the reasons why I wanted Nick to share his stories, because it's not all rainbows, right? It's not all a cakewalk. There were difficulties and hurdles, and he's talking about it in those moments where you've got, like a moment where you have potentially you might want to quit. Those lessons that you learn is what levels you up. So let us know. And the second way you can win to double your chances, you go to Twitter and you share using the share button down below. Use hashtag VI show. Make sure you tag me and Nick, video influencers and Nick, and then there you go. So we're gonna pick that here in a little bit. But Nick, there's so many things about your history that added to what's happened in the last 12 months. There was one point you mentioned earlier that I know that you wanted to cover a little bit more, or we can just move on to the last year, but is live streaming. Obviously, we're live streaming right now. You and I both know how much the algorithm YouTube loves live streaming, but tell us about why you got into it. What were the big takeaways, and what would be your suggestion for people around live streaming, since that is kind of a niche way to put out content, but what's it done for you and your channel?
So when it comes to live streaming, my very first live stream, I had like 2 or 3 people come through the live stream. Didn't expect anybody, right? I was doing a thumbnail tutorial, and the whole reason I live streamed it was because I just wanted to know how to live stream so I could show other people how to live stream. So I just needed to know the tech. So that's why I did that live stream. And after that stream, I didn't go live again for another like 6 months or so. And when I went live, I was actually chatting with Brian G. Johnson on Facebook, and he was like, hey, do you have the mobile live streaming yet? And it's only available for people over 10,000 subscribers. I think I might have had 12,000 at the time. And I'm like, no, well, let me look. And I looked and I had it. So I went in the other room, I turned on the lights, and I literally sat and held my phone like this for, I think it was like 2 or 3 hours for that particular live stream. And that kind of kicked me off in terms of my live streaming obsession. So that was my first time that I ever had like a bunch of people come into the live stream. I think my peak might have been around like 300 people, because YouTube was really pushing the mobile live at that time. But Roberto Blake came into that live stream. That was my first interaction with Roberto. But it was just amazing to me being able to sit there in my place and have this real-time interaction with a bunch of people, which actually brings something else to my mind really quick. To go back on Vid Summit again really quick, because I just thought of this as I said that. Another big game changer for me there, in addition to the networking, I just want to say, was also being able to talk face to face with people that view my content and have people tell me their personal accounts of how the content had made a difference for them, and being able to actually like look in their face, because reading comments one thing, but when you're actually having that interaction with another human being, it's a pretty heavy thing. And for me, that took my seriousness level up like a whole other notch, because then it took it from like, you know, seeing the comments of people saying cool things to like, wow, I have somebody actually like here, a real human being in my face telling me, you know, the difference that the content had made. So it put into perspective the impact that it was having, and the impact that that I had the potential to have as well. But in terms of live streaming, that whole thing with having, you know, the chat moving real fast and a bunch of people, you know, in there talking and just being able to connect with people in real time, for me, it was addicting. Clearly, here we are years later, right? Clearly, but for me, that was a really big moment for me, and I've been live streaming almost every weekend, with the exception of, you know, like when I travel, I don't stream that much, and I had like a whole month where I didn't live stream, but with the exception of like a couple of, you know, situations, I've been live streaming almost every weekend for you know, since that mobile live stream. Just obsessed with live stream. Absolutely love it. But, you know, on the live stream side of things, the connection that you can get, just being able to, you know, talk with people in real time, to where, you know, if you're watching video content, the only chance you have to connect with people is either on another platform or in the comments. But when you're live and you can ask a question and have somebody give you feedback, like right there on the spot, out of a bunch of people that are watching the stream, it's incredible. Absolutely love it. I like that as much, if not more, than I like actually being on stage, just because it's just so awesome being able to, you know, have that interaction in real time. Absolutely love it.
It helps you not only connect with people, but again, understand the people you're making these videos for. So when you go back to home base, you're going to create the content understanding exactly how to record and edit it so that it connects with them, because it's all about connection. And that's one of the things we started this show off with, and you talked about in your live on your channel just earlier today, which is not only do you have to consider the viewer, but you have to like put yourself into their shoes and know what they think and I actually mentioned this, what's their intention and expectation. And it's so much easier to do that, not only when you're like in a physically like a physical event, but even a live stream where you can interact with them in real time. Man, so much to your story. And we talked about, I mean, if I just rattled them off, and you can kind of restate them if you want before you get into the last 12 months. But so first, you know, you had to go through the journey of multiple channels, right? And kind of burning out and realizing focus was important. Meeting someone like Daryl Ease, who not only taught you what he taught you, but helped you believe in yourself and know that this was something you could take seriously and go all in. You talked about going from bullet points to scripts that act more natural on camera, which helped you connect with people. Going to actual events and connecting with people like Andrew Edwards, and just like having a different mindset about what's possible on this platform and in your business. And then obviously you even talk about more recently going live streaming. By the way, how many years have you been live streaming fairly consistently now, would you say?
Man, easy 3, I think. I'm not even sure. Yeah, because my brother. Yeah, I'm really not sure, because like my brother, he's been on YouTube now, I think, for 2 years. And I was already, I think I was at over 100,000 subscribers then, and I crossed 30,000 subscribers during a live stream.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's been a while. Yeah.
Wow. So awesome. And this brings us to the last 12 months, and I want to pull up my screen. So we're interviewing Nick Nimmin right now, and we're talking about how he's had massive growth over the last 6-7 years. But let's look at the last 12 months. Can you pull up my screen? No. So in the last 12 months, you have grown 250,000 subscribers. Just since the beginning of this year in January, it's been almost 200,000 alone, and we still got a few more months. So I'm sure you might hit new milestones. How did you grow so quickly beyond the story? in 2020 to gain so many subscribers so quickly?
So for me, one of the things that I've been focused on is, part of content strategy. You always hear people talk about content strategy. For a long time on my channel, I looked at my YouTube channel as a search-based YouTube channel. And I thought I carried the idea that if I can get a video to rank in search, then as long as it performs well there, then people will respond to it elsewhere also. And I kind of use that as a crutch. In terms of like, it's the low hanging fruit. All I have to do is a little bit of research. And then after you make videos in a certain space for quite some time, you already know who the competition is. You already know your chances of ranking for that. You just look to see who's there, and then you decide to go for it or not. But for a long time though, the channel was like a search based only channel where that's all I was targeting. So basically for the last like 12 months or so, maybe a little bit longer than that, just a tad, I've actually been focusing really hard on trying to get people to click more. I don't care where the content is put in front of them. I just want people to click. So because of that, I've spent a lot more time just writing titles and, and basically looking at my thumbnail title combinations as well, so that I could get a higher response from home pages and suggested videos and not just be so dependent on search. Now, with that said, I have a mutual friend actually with Benji as well, Justin and Mike Brown from Primal Video. They're search-based for most of their stuff, and they're just crushing right now. They passed 700,000 subscribers already. Like they're just going through the roof right now. So I'm not discrediting search in any way, shape, or form. But what I'm saying is that on my particular channel, one of the things that I've done over the last year is I've went from more search-focused content to I'm just trying to get you guys to respond to my content when it shows up on your homepage. Ultimately, that's what I want. I want you, when I publish a video, I want you to click it when it shows up on your homepage, instead of you having to actually go and look for the content in order to find it. Now, of course, because if you're subscribed to my channel, sure, then you're going to see it anyway, probably, as long as you're interacting recently. But I'm wanting to get new YouTubers to click on my stuff when it shows up on their homepage, not just you that have been watching my content for a while, people that have never seen me before. Like, I'm trying to hone my skill of getting those people to click on my stuff when it shows up on their homepage and next to suggested videos more than anything else. Now, I'll still make some search targeted videos as well, like if it's something, like for an affiliate product or something, but the normal stuff that I'm making, I'm just trying to focus my efforts on getting you to click more than I'm trying to target search.
Wow, that's amazing. And I didn't even understand that. Like, I didn't know that was going on. We've gotten an hour and a half into this interview, and that's a huge takeaway for everybody, because obviously the last 7 years in the story you just heard is why he was set up to be able to grow so massively. But that is what you're focused on right now for today's state of YouTube, and focusing on that click. And I would almost say, I don't know how much you want to share of your strategy, the second channel will do that for you, because even though it's a completely separate channel, I know this happens with Joe Rogan and his little clips channel. It actually doesn't matter that it's not the same place. It's just your name, your face. And if people are interested in those clips, well, the algorithm naturally going to suggest the longer form content, your live broadcasts. Would you say that that's going to help emphasize this new strategy in the last 12 months?
Absolutely. I think that's definitely going to be the case. I'm actually targeting some of that for search right now. I'll be mixing it up here a little bit because I want to get that initial sustainable traffic coming in before I, go too hard on the same approach I'm taking with my main channel right now. But that is the long term for that channel. Is I'll be doing the same exact thing with some of the content. Like, I'll be putting out so much content over there that I have plenty of room to experiment a ton. But the idea with that particular channel is that there's a lot of really good information that's shared in the live streams. And I've actually had people request a clips channel quite a bit because, not everybody has time to sit through 3 hours or 6 hours, when Dee's in town, of a live stream. So because of that, again, I'm following the viewers and what it is that they want, right? The algorithm follows the audience. So I'm like, hey, let's do it again. And basically the whole reason for starting that channel is just to take those bite-sized clips to where it's still value-packed content, but it's just presented to them in a different way to where they can get it in a shorter amount of time instead of having to sit through 3 hours or 6 hours worth of live streaming content in order to get it. So because of that, it's more of a thing of, one, sure, it's going to help me out, as well. But it's also going to be just another way that I can add value to the community in terms of just, giving them the content that they want. So one thing that I found through my podcast is that people ask some really interesting questions. And some of those questions, just like, some of those questions are fantastic questions. You'd love to talk about them. However, they're not appropriate necessarily for, like, if you are like hard focused on like channel growth and all that good stuff, some of the pieces of content, you just know if you make that video and you put it on your YouTube channel, that it's just it doesn't have a wide reach, right? So because of that, the live streaming clips channel, there's going to be so much content going out there that I can just put out, some stuff that's going to have a wide reach, some of it's not, and I don't care. I just want people that are watching the videos to be able to get the information that they care about when it comes to growing their YouTube channel instead of it being limited. Because right now, the decisions that I make around my current YouTube channel, they're based on the things that people are proven to respond to. And because of that, I'm staying on that path on my main channel. But for the clips channel, like, I can literally put any type of valuable information there that I typically wouldn't put on my main channel for all different channel sizes based on the things that content creators specifically ask, which is a huge win as well. Because part of the thing that I was talking about before in terms of knowing your audience, like, for anybody that's been paying attention, I've been collecting questions for like 2 years now since we implemented that form. So basically I get, like 100 plus, sometimes 200 questions that I get directly from the audience that tells me what people care about right now. And it's really interesting because sometimes those questionnaires will be filled with people wanting to make money. Other times they'll be filled with people just wanting to get views or subscribers. Other times it'll be to where it's heavily weighted towards like burnout and that sort of thing. And I find it really interesting because it gives me kind of like an idea of what's important to the people that are watching the videos like right now. So it's like, hey, this Saturday, this is what people were talking about the most. So let's see if we can, put that content on the schedule, for like 2 weeks from now, type of thing. So, it just gives you tons of information, but the live streams are fantastic for that.
Yeah. And I'm going to finish off this story with asking you a follow-up to your last answer. Obviously, the last 12 months, the strategies have all been about clicks, right? About people actually.
Well, one thing I do want to hop in here really quick though and say is that, of course, because of what happened, with the world, with the pandemic and everything, like I had like a nice big spike when all that stuff happened too. And a lot of that actually came from my previous live streaming content.
Really?
Like the stuff that I did on like how to live stream more than the YouTube growth stuff. So I just wanted to mention that as well.
For sure. And obviously you just went through your whole story and you talked about what you did in the last 12 months in terms of getting people to click on your videos, focusing more on the titles and the thumbnails and really moving away from search. But let's bring it back to the principles. Obviously some principles have changed over the last decade of YouTube evolving, but what are the principles that have never changed in the last 12 months in addition to this click-through strategy of focusing on the title, thumbnail? What were the things that everybody can take away, the tips you would give that you have to be doing, that you're doing still in the last 12 months that help you get these 250,000 subscribers, even if you've repeated this already before?
You got to add value. People have to leave your video with something. I don't care what it is. I don't care if they leave the video hating you, right? If they leave the video hating you, but they hate you because you had such a polarizing opinion based on what it is that they believe that they have to keep coming back and watching you, even though they hate your guts, that's what they left with, and it's perfectly okay. If it's because you helped them in some way, you helped them like understand something better or taught them how to do something, then that's something. If it's that you got them all fired up to go and take like some type of action in their life, then that's another, type of value. If it's simply that you made a travel video and you showed somebody something that they would never be able to see if it wasn't for you going to that specific location and making that video to where you can introduce that place to, the people that are watching your videos, then, that escape or that introduction to that new culture might be that thing that they get. But the idea is that you have to be able to identify what it is that people get from your content. You got to define this stuff all the way across the board. Why should people care about my content? Why should people click on this? What value specifically are they getting from this particular video that I'm putting out? Why should they keep watching it? When the video first starts, why should somebody keep watching past that 5 seconds when the video first opens up? Define it, right? How are you hooking them? How are you grabbing their attention in order to make it important enough for them to dedicate some of their time to what it is that you've created? It's all like one thing that you always have to remember when it comes to this is, sure, there's the personality side of YouTube. People connect with us as content creators. Some content creators, people connect with them a lot more, and they can do pretty much anything, and people just love them for it. Other people, it's a totally different thing. People like the personality, but they're there more for the actual content itself than they are for the personality. You know, there's a lot of different dynamics like that on YouTube. But at the end of the day, it comes down to what it is that they're getting out of what it is that you're doing, the value, and it also comes down to you just making sure that you are always focused on the viewer and what it is that they are getting from your content, the experience that they're having when they're going through it. Like I talked about before, from the moment they click on it, like what is it like? If you remove yourself from it and you remove yourself from your video, and it's not about you, if you're just watching somebody else and you're doing it from an analytical perspective, and you're looking at the video and you're like, okay, my video first started, would this grab my attention? Would I keep watching for here? Why? Why would I watch this? Why would I watch this extra minute here? Why would this be important to me? Why would I not click off from this right now? Why would I click off? So that you can patch those holes, right? And start defining that all the way through. Get to your end screen. Why would somebody wait through this last part of my video when I told them the video is finished already? When I told them, oh, and that's how you XYZ or whatever it happens to be. Why would they wait through that? They probably won't. So you would know in that case, when you're thinking about the viewer experience, to go ahead and axe off that, last part of the video. When your end screen pops up, why should they click on another video? Did you suggest another video to them that's relevant to the content that they're watching in terms of their interest? Did you verbally tell them, hey, click in this video here and this is why? Or did you just put up a graphic and nothing's being said, nothing's going on? It just shows some videos on the screen that they have an option to watch, right? Like define it all the way through, like go through your entire experience on your YouTube channel as a viewer and take the you part out of it and look at it like, okay, everything that they're experiencing here, when they're watching my content, why should they, keep watching it? Once they do, why should they comment? Why should they subscribe? Why should they give it a thumbs up? If they click on the channel name, they go to my YouTube channel. Is it easy for them to find content? Is it easy for them to find out more about me on my About Me page? Is it easy for them to find playlists? Are the playlists that I'm focusing on my YouTube channel, are they current? Are the things that people still care about from the type of content that I make? If so, cool. If not, then maybe I need to refresh that, or maybe I need to take that off of my channel page as a whole. Is it clear when people land on my channel page? Hey, this is what's in it for you if you are, if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like define everything all the way through. And the better you get at that, the better everything will be on your YouTube channel. But at the core of it, you got to think of the people that are watching your videos, because if you know who it is that you're making that content for, and you can create an awesome experience for them that is just lather them with value, then you're gonna do awesome on YouTube.
Boom. That was literally everything you need to know to crush it on YouTube. And I'd say like a 5-minute format. Nick, I would love to ask some more questions. Just a few, and then I'll let you go, because I know it's like probably 2 a.m. or something over there.
Oh, good. We can go for another hour, man. Well, in the mind, I don't have anything to do. You probably have more to do today than I do.
Well, I appreciate it. No, so you guys, if you got value out of this, hit that like button. And again, down below in the comments, let us know, why did you get started on YouTube and what motivates you to keep going, to continue to upload, to grow your subscribers, to get more views so that you can crush it on YouTube. Make sure you go check out Nick's channel and go to nicknimmin.com for more information about him. If you want to see all of our interviews with Nick Nimmin, go ahead and click or tap the screen right here. If you guys want to just subscribe to Video Influencers so we can help you build your influence, income, impact with online videos, click or tap the screen right here.